The three friends saw their movie and then returned to Amber's empty house to hang out and watch TV. Nick explained that Todd had devised a signal so that he would know when to join in the horseplay with intent to begin the attack. When he got the signal, he jumped up and found a cord he thought would be strong enough to strangle Amber with. As Todd Hoke restrained his former best friend, Nick moved in and wrapped the cord around her neck. But Amber overpowered them and was able to get away. Nick said she sprinted for the back door heading through the kitchen. But Todd grabbed her by the hair, pulled her down to the ground, and began to bludgeon her with a heavy flashlight left on the counter. Nick was hot on their heels and he grabbed a knife from the block, driving it into Amber's chest and abdomen. Upon autopsy, it's found that her liver was lacerated and her aorta transected, helping to explain the vast amount of blood found on the Hess's kitchen floor. Her cause of death was determined to be a stab through her heart. Nick said Todd took the knife then, stabbing her in the neck. After beating her in the head with the mag light and stabbing her in the neck, chest, and abdomen, the boys reveled over the fact that Amber was still alive, so they strangled her again too. They left her on the kitchen floor, deciding to stage the home to look like a burglary gone wrong. Todd and Nick ransacked the house, grabbing guns and the laptop on their way out. Nick went home, and Todd went to his girlfriend's house, joining him at Nick's house around 1. Todd spoke to his sister from Amber's cell phone, and a few hours later the pair gathered up as many cleaning products as they could and set about trying to clean up after themselves. They found Amber where they left her, and she had died. The young killers turned on the hose and attempted to wipe up some of the giant pool of blood. The water simply cascaded over the dried-up blood, and they soon abandoned that attempt in favor of disposing of Amber's body. Grabbing her bedspread, they accidentally pick up some photos she had spread out to organize on her bed along with it. They haphazardly wrap her up and put her body upright in the passenger seat of her own vehicle. Once in the desert, they laid her out, doused her with gasoline, and lit her a fire with the flick of a match, leaving their footprints and the tire tracks behind. Then, they simply tried to go back to their lives, and the following day, Amber's parents returned from Mexico to find their home a bloody crime scene and their beloved daughter missing. Throughout the questioning, Nick maintained that Todd just didn't want to be friends with Amber anymore. But the autopsy results proved that Amber had been pregnant with Todd's baby. A placenta and umbilical tissue remained in Amber's uterus, although there was no fetus. Testing of remaining fetal tissue determined that Todd was the biological father, indicating to the medical examiner that the pregnancy had ceased within 24 hours of her death. The pregnancy was estimated to be about 10 weeks along. "16-year-old Todd Hoke and 16-year-old Nicolas Castillo were arrested on Wednesday, June 27, 2007, 5 days after Amber's murder and 2 days after the discovery of her remains and her car. Each was held on $1 million bond on charges of first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and concealment of a body. On May 28, 2010, Todd Hoke and Nicolas Castillo pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and concealment of a body. They were charged as adults but weren't eligible for the death penalty due to their age at the time of Amber's murder. Todd Hoke received a sentence of life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Nicolas Castillo was sentenced to 24 years. On October 21, 2013, after spending about 3.5 years in prison, Todd Hoke committed suicide. He was 22 years old and had 22 years left on his sentence before he could have applied for parole. I noticed while researching this episode that Todd Hoke murdered Amber Hess the day after his 16th birthday. Amber Hess's mom and dad said they knew they'd have a long, dark road ahead after the murder of their daughter. that they would struggle to figure out who they were going to be now for the rest of their lives. Her mom spoke to a picture of Amber daily for years. She described a gaping hole she could neither fill nor erase. At sentencing, she requested that both Todd Hoke, her daughter's supposed best friend, and Nicolas Castillo, his accomplice in her murder, receive the maximum sentence allowed by law. Amber's parents, along with the court, heard statement after statement read about their daughter, stories they hadn't heard before, about how Amber had the ability to bring happiness to whoever she came across. Nicolas Castillo has had over a decade in prison under his belt, and he appears to be getting antsy. In December 2016, he filed a motion for post-conviction relief, saying that there were mitigating factors not originally taken into account, such as his young age, which entitled him to a new sentencing hearing. It directed the court toward case law citing the requirement that the court determine whether the juvenile is transiently immature or if they displayed permanent incorrigibility at the time the crime was committed. The county attorney requested that the court dismiss the motion and deny the request for a new sentencing hearing because Nick's sentence is clearly constitutional. A determination has yet to be made by the court. Nick spoke to the press from prison, saying he felt that his original 24-year sentence was fair, but that he would like the opportunity to be released sooner and to make something out of the rest of his life. He said he'd be content to serve out his time if his motion is denied. He feels he's been rehabilitated and is working to finish his GED. Nicolas Castillo said he knows what he did was completely wrong. Nick explained that at the time he helped Todd murder Amber, it was because of Amber and Todd's relationship issues. He never mentions the pregnancy. He went on to explain that as time has passed, the reason for the murder has become less and less clear to him. He even says that he didn't want to kill Amber and can't believe that he went through with the murder plan. He said that if he could take that day back, he would. We all would, Nick. As always, thanks for stopping by. This is episode 3 in the Wild Wild West series, and I have one more doozy for you, and I hope these stories that have happened all around where I live have intrigued you. If you're enjoying the show, please leave me a review and find me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook at Killer Kids Pod. I'll see you back here soon with another episode. But until then, lovelies, don't be scared.
From the Hollywood Hills to your earholes, this is True Crime Deadline, a podcast discussing cold cases, murder mysteries, and completely random thoughts.
All right, thank you, Mr. Announcer Man. My name is Matt Johnson, and I am the host of True Crime Deadline, and I'm calling this my True Crime Journey. Welcome to it. The podcast is going to take you behind the headlines of some of the biggest cases that I have covered, giving you the crime time details, the backstory of each case, exclusive interviews, and the Oprah-inspired Where Are They Now? You're going to get a lot of new details that you've never heard before. Some cases might have you thinking, did that really happen? Did police? No, police didn't do that. Did they say that in court? Well, at the end of each episode, you be the judge. All right, investigators, buckle up. You're on deadline.